What's going on, guys? So on the workbench, we got a lot of stuff. So you probably remember the Gen Y goose puck system that we've done a lot of videos on. This is the second version of it with the reinforced welds on the bottom. Then we have the Kurt version over here, which is that shock drop technology rocker ball, which is really cool. I've done a lot of videos on these products talking about the pros and cons of each one of them, why you might want one over the other, and some of my concerns related to using anything like this. So go back and check those videos out if you're on the fence about an offset goose ball connection for your truck, and if you should get one and which one you might want to consider. But in front of me, you were looking at a very cool product. My channel sponsor, etrailer.com, dropped me an email and said, hey, we have another winch. We want to shoot it over to you, see what you think. Hang tight, I'll be right back. So in front of me is our 2024 F450 Platinum with our FLOG Industries bumper on the front. This is the Horizon series with its full wrap. This thing is super, super cool. We've done several videos on this, including a reveal video. I've talked about why this bumper. So if you're asking that question, if you're typing it in the comment section, go back and check out the videos that I've made on this already, from the reveal video to the full overview video, which is actually the same time that I'm shooting this video. So a lot of answered questions on that video, on the first two really, and you'll see why we chose to go with FLOG Industries for our bumper and why we love it. Loaded in the front is another super winch. That is the 18,000-pound Tigershark. That is a beast of a winch. It is absolutely a massive, massive winch. But that's not the one we're talking about today, even though they both share a lot of the same characteristics. In front of me is what we're talking about today, and this is the 15,000-pound rated Tigershark from Superwinch. My channel sponsor, etrailer.com, carries this product, and it is an absolute beast of a winch. They also carry like 5, 6, or 7 other brands of winches as well. And I wanted to talk about this because oftentimes whenever you're shopping for a winch, you go on YouTube, there are a lot of different brands to consider. A lot of brands are very known brands. Maybe they make other things as well, like Smittybilt, stuff like that, to brands that you kind of wonder if you should trust, even though the reviews are largely positive, like Badlands from Harbor Freight. But Superwinch is definitely a brand that a lot of people automatically see as a credible brand of winch. It's been around for a long time. Yes, they've changed ownership a few times, but they build an incredibly high-quality winch. So much so that I see them on a lot of overlanding vehicles, large overlanding vehicles. I filmed a couple of them on the front of some $600,000, $700,000 Storyteller overland vehicles, and Superwinch is the brand that they go with, even though there are other really, really, really good brands out there, of course, like Warn. Now, I have personally had both the Warn M12 and the Warn 16.5 TIS installed in bumpers on trucks that I've owned, and I've used them both extensively. So I know what they're capable of. I know that they're very solid products, but you pay a lot of money for Warn. And I'm not saying that you're not getting good value out of that. I'm just saying that there are quality alternatives. Now, would I ever run a Badland winch? No, I wouldn't. Only because I have seen failures. I have seen where they've had issues at times, and when really stressed out, I've seen some folks say they kind of regret that purchase. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad winch, and oftentimes when really stressed out actually means I abused it, I used it to a degree or in a way that I probably shouldn't have. But the good thing about a winch like that is it only costs a few $100, so even if you have problems with it, it's not that expensive to replace. When you're looking at a super winch, you're going to be, on the low end, you're going to be probably in the $500 to $600 price range on a smaller winch, but on the high end, you're going to be well over $1,000, like the winch in front of you right here, which actually sells for about $1,250 to $1,300. The 1,800-pound winch with the synthetic line actually sells for closer to around $1,400. Again, you get the synthetic line, which is really nice because if you just buy this line alone, you're going to pay like $600. Now, bundling it into a winch always saves money. What is nice about the Tigershark winch is that, again, it comes in at a very affordable price for what you get. It is still a lot more expensive than some of the other winches that it competes against. But what's nice about super winches is they get into some very, very heavy-duty, high-rated winches, and they don't just go to that 12,000-pound, 12,500-pound max that a lot of these other winches you see go to. This is definitely not a Jeep winch. This is definitely not the type of winch that you would put in, you know, a mid-size pickup truck or even your typical full-size half-ton truck. This is something that usually will require a larger opening, and because this thing weighs about 75 pounds and that one over there weighs like 120 pounds, you definitely want to know that you're going to be supporting it correctly with the right type of bumper, and you know how much weight you're adding to the front of your vehicle. But what I like about super winches is that they give you a lot of the same features that people are looking for whenever they're looking for a higher end winch and they're considering brands like Warn, such as the ability to clock the motor housing. Why is this important? Well, if we look at my 450, you'll see. So on my 450, whenever we put the winch in, if you are facing the mounting bolts forward, like a lot of winches, this is typically how you're going to see it on larger frame winches. It's not going to be mounted down, it's going to be mounted to the front of your bumper. The motor at that point will be in a position to where your release, your free spool, is going to be facing back towards the truck and you won't be able to access it. So having the ability to clock the motor, which simply means unscrewing the motor, pulling it out slightly, rotating it and putting it back in and then screwing it back in place, is incredibly important. And it's very important that we were able to do that on this super winch inside of my truck. But again, the process of doing that is simply to unscrew these. You pull the assembly out slightly, rotate it, put it back in, and then screw these back in and make sure that the seal is seated the right way and all of that stuff. But that is super important, and that is a feature that many super winches also have in case you need to be able to mount the feet facing forward and not facing down like you see here. The ability to remove the control box can also be really important. A lot of your newer winches, especially 12,000 pound winches, have the control box mounted on top right here because, again, it's designed to be mounted feet down. Because you can't remove the control box means that if you add it to a bumper where it does have to be mounted feet forward, the control box is now going to be sitting on the back end, and you may not have the room to be able to mount it in the bumper and still fit it on the vehicle. So being able to remove the control box is really, really important. Again, let me show you. So you can see right here on the FLOG Bumper, we have the control box actually mounted to the top of the bumper and not on the winch. Because there's no way to mount it to the winch, we would have had to tap holes into the winch body, which is never a good idea. And you can see that it's mounted right here to the surface, and it looks really, really good. But it gives us the ability to still be able to access our corded connection right there, while at the same time ensuring that we can fit this large winch forward mounted into this bumper without that protruding off the top of it and possibly making contact with the radiator. One thing I do wish was a little different. I wish they offered more designer style hooks, but this is one heck of a beefy hook. This thing is absolutely insane. The fair lead on it is also a bit plain. It's a synthetic line fair lead, which basically means it doesn't have the rollers like you might see on your typical steel cabled type of winch. But it doesn't look bad. It would have been nice for them to put the Superwinch brand here. I added that to the front of my truck because I think it looks a little nicer, and I have no problem showing the brand Superwinch on here. My official channel sponsor, etrailer, carries all this stuff. But this is really nice. It's slightly smaller overall in footprint. It's about 1/2 inch in each direction, a little smaller than the winch that's in the truck right now, because again, this is a 15,000 pound rated winch and that is an 18,000 pound rated winch. But I just wanted to give you an overview to let you see that there are a ton of really, really good brands. There's Mile Marker, there's Come Up, there's all sorts of brands out there that make quality winches. If you look, you don't have to just go for one, especially if you do have a budget and you're trying to hit that budget and you want to be sure that you're getting quality products, quality parts that aren't going to fail you when you need them at a price point that meets a budget so you can actually complete your project. Again, we could have thrown a Warn back inside. I wanted to try something a little different. My channel sponsor carries a ton of different winches, so when I was looking through the catalog of winches that they offered, from Bulldog to Come Up to all these other brands, I was like, you know what? Let's go with a brand that is tried, true, tested, super credible, and makes really, really large winches. That's why we opted for the Superwinch Tigershark 18,000 pound winch over there, 15,000 pound winch that they decided to send me so I could kind of show you all in an uninstalled fashion what these things look like. But yeah, this is a really, really beautiful winch, and we're going to find something really cool to use this with, because I have a couple ideas, and in a future video you very well may see this installed in a piece of equipment. Anyways guys, I sure hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very, very soon.